Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time here. My name is Dana and this is my husband Josh. I don't know if you've been on my channel before. I think if you have, it's been quite a while.
It's been a little while.
It has been a while. Maybe once.
Maybe once.
Yep. And in today's video, I thought it'd be fun to have him join us. We're going to be talking about kind of our reasons why we choose to homeschool. And it's funny because I don't think we've ever actually seriously sat down and talked about really why we do it. It's just kind of always been second nature. I come from a homeschooling background. You kind of did a little bit.
Sort of.
And so it was kind of something that we just always knew we would do. But we've never actually sat down and like, well, these are our core beliefs as to why we do it. So
No.
yeah, so I thought this video would be fun to do with him.
So here we are.
And this video is actually part of a collaboration hosted by Leilani over at Living with Eve. I will have her channel linked down below, as well as the playlist of a whole bunch of other mamas also sharing their reasons why to their homeschool. I think for me as a homeschool parent, one of the most important things to do before you even start, this is kind of for new homeschoolers as well, is to kind of sit down and think of your reasons why, because on those days where you just get overstressed and burnt out, you really need those reasons why to come up into your mind to remind you that what you're doing is worth it. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into today's video. So we're going to go through our top 3 reasons for why we homeschool, and then we're also going to go into and touch lightly on some of our benefits. So our first reason, I guess these are in no particular order, but the first reason we wrote down for homeschooling is at least for our raising to homeschool, is more time with the kids and kind of what that means to us. So
Sure. I think it means going for walks and taking the kids out and learning about nature and going on bike rides. We spend a lot of time walking along a little stream nearby our house and other little rivers near us as well. We go on nature walks a lot. I think you're seeing the theme here. We do outdoor stuff, especially when it's warm. And when it's cold, we do some outdoor stuff, but not as much.
Yeah.
But we also go check out local attractions and just kind of have the flexibility of getting to know your child.
Which is a huge benefit.
Yeah.
For me, that was like one of my first, For me, one of the main benefits is, as he mentioned before, and as we had both talked about, is more time with the kids. And I think that is something that every school semester, every quarter, every year, you really see how fast they grow by how much they're advancing in even just their academics. Yeah. And that's something that's incomparable, or you can't really exchange that for that. Like, time is really, really special. So I think for me, the number one thing, I guess I would put them in order.
Irreplaceable.
It is. Like, you can't get time back. It was like you have to invest the time into your family.
True.
And that's something you can never get back. And it's one thing that I know I'll never regret looking back. And there's not a lot of things in life where you know for a fact that you'll never regret it, so to speak. But homeschooling and then the extra time with your kids, that being our number one reason, is one of those things. But our second reason, and did you want to add anything to that?
I just reiterate, you won't regret it, even though at moments it may seem stressful, especially for the person around the most. But looking back, it'll be very good memories. Yeah, and you'll forget those rough days, and you'll remember the good ones.
Yep, it's a good reminder that those little stages go by so quickly as well. And I'm reminded about how fast the stages go by every quarter, because like quite literally they're advancing in the books and everything. So and growing. So. That's our number one as far as why we homeschool, is more time with our kiddos. The second one is it kind of provides us the ability to have a slower pace of life. So more like slow living, and kind of what that looks like for us is a very, very simple, easygoing morning. We're not being like rushed out the door when it comes to like getting the kids off to school and things like that. And I'm thankful for that lifestyle as far as not being like rushed in the morning.
You enjoy those mornings much more when you're not running around crazy. Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where you can wake up and it's like that slower pace of life where even during the day, because for us, like, and this is another topic for another video probably, but we don't do like extracurriculars that much or any type of like homeschooling group. So our days really allow for the huge flexibility and definitely the slower pace of living.
Yeah.
And it provides, honestly, and then this is another benefit that we would talk about later probably, but it's the overall, not just a slower pace of life for us, but the ability to let the kids do what they want and actually have time to think and downtime, and that's really important too.
I would also say that some of the stuff we do is extracurricular.
Yes.
In a unique way. It's not what other people might consider extracurricular, but going on nature walks and bike rides and hikes, that can be considered extracurricular just as much as playing soccer or baseball. And we may do that eventually. We're not against it, but we're definitely not, going to I feel like a lot of parents push these things on their children, whether they're interested or not, because that's maybe what they did growing up.
Yeah.
I played baseball and soccer growing up, but I don't feel like any of my children have to do that. But if they want to do it, that's fine too. Encouragement without pushing, something like that.
Yeah, take their interest. But like you said, we do a lot of like the outdoor nature stuff. That is 100% what the kids are into. They'll spend all summer hunting frogs.
They love frogs.
Like
and
all
toads.
summer.
We have toads living in our basement.
Yes, they have. We have a toad that's been in there a year. Has a toad been in there?
Probably at least a
Longer,
year.
yeah.
Maybe longer.
They found him last summer.
He's our pet.
Yeah, and he keeps all the crickets at bay. So we have an older house, so typically we would have, like, when we first moved in, we had a lot of crickets in the basement. There's always crickets somewhere in the house. And then since that toad's been down there, hasn't been a single cricket.
We got rid of the crickets.
Yep.
Plus, Oliver has a friend.
Yes, he'll go down there and talk to his toad and be like, "Mom, I know how to talk toad."
He speaks toad.
Yeah, it's so cute.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress.
So that was the number 1 and 2. Number 1 being more time with the kids. Number 2, slower pace of life. And the third reason is actually more detailed. It's developing a family culture is our third reason. Like, we're actually able to develop the culture and atmosphere we want in our home. Whereas I feel like
this is the best one.
Yes. Like, you're actually developing whatever it is you want your family to look like. And that's something, like, if your kiddos go to school and they're going to their own classes, husband's off to work, wife's off to work, and everyone's divided, you don't have the opportunity to really create the atmosphere that you want.
Because the world dividing us every step of the way, they're trying to divvy up your family and send them in opposite directions and create a non-inclusive environment. Homeschooling really helps to create an inclusive environment so your children actually know each other, whereas a lot of the children don't know each other and don't get along with each other, and then they fight, and then when they fight, the parents fight, and then it's just a very separated lifestyle, and everybody kind of just does their own thing. And then when they're forced to do things together, things go awry.
Yeah.
But
I agree. It's really, really important for us to have our kids, and especially in the little years. Now, this could change, obviously, as they get older, as they approach, like, elementary age to, like, middle school age.
We'll do an update.
Yes. That's 2 reasons why. But when they're really, really little, I really feel like it's important too that
like under 10.
Yes. Under 10 is a good age to where the parents really are their primary kind of influence of life. And we've noticed that yes, they should be.
Not always.
But we've noticed, and this is, again, another topic for another video about, like, the whole Sunday school issue that we've talked about a lot in our past experiences with Sunday school and how that looked like for our family.
Yeah.
And it's different.
And nothing against Sunday school.
No.
These are our thoughts.
Yeah, but previously the church that we actually did put the kids in Sunday school in, we always struggled more with them picking up whatever attitudes were there.
They did.
And it was weird to me how, like, you could go to Sunday school class and come back home by picking up someone else's, like, characteristics or something.
Like, they go to Sunday school, you'd think they're gonna come home learning about Jesus, and they come home using bad words and talking to their siblings not kindly.
Yeah, it was a really weird experience.
Nothing good seemed to change.
Yeah.
We always noticed, and it was very obvious.
Every Sunday,
they'd pick up new things that they had never done before.
Yeah, and so that was our important kind of eye-opening thing to realize where we really just wanted to be their primary example in the little years, especially.
They were being peer trained.
Yeah, like, that is exactly it. And even peer trained in, like, the biblical aspect.
Ish.
You know, whatever ish, yeah.
Depending on how much they were being trained by the adults, mostly the children, I think.
Yeah, that was, like, the peer.
Think about it. If you're hanging out with a bunch of kids, you're gonna listen to the adult or the children.
Yeah. I think the whole, like, developing the family culture, it really does go for, kind of like we can share the gospel with our kiddos in the actual everyday living in life. It's not for us anyway, a Sunday morning, Sunday school for an hour, learn about the gospel. I think I strive to, like, put little seeds of the gospel in, whether or not I'm talking to the kiddos either around school,
Yeah, like
around breakfast time,
throughout the day,
like really making the gospel actually a part of their life to the point where they're asking me questions on a regular basis about Christ. Maybe the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, like describing that, like because they're always so curious about how that is.
And reading the little like picture books with the story, and then you can kind of put it into your own words so they can understand it better. And just time being spent throughout the week rather than just focusing on, hey, go to Sunday school and learn about God. Then the rest of the week we're gonna not learn about God.
Yeah, so that's really important to us, is developing that actual atmosphere and culture as far as like actually living the gospel. And I think for us too, and this is another benefit of like families actually being together and staying together, is, and I've shared this before on my channel many times, and that is like we can tell the kids about the gospel, and we can tell them, all the Bible verses that they should memorize and all the Bible stories. But I think at the end of the day, if like you and I are not actually living the gospel out, I think at the end, like in the day-to-day actual mundane part of life, trying to, yes, and we always fall short, realizing that we can say all the things, but unless we ourselves are actually living that out, is a huge aspect of the actual bringing the gospel to life. So that is part of the developing the family culture, as well as another pointer underneath that point of developing the culture is that we're really able to actually fine-tune and cater to our kiddos' needs as far as, or their gifts, so to speak. So
customized education. Well, when you think about it, if one-on-one teacher child, or maybe even 1-on-3, but when you go to a classroom you get 1-on-30 or whatever. So
it is more intimate and more close, for sure, like an actual catered education. That's my favorite part, is actually seeing like how their learning styles are, because my two actual school-age kiddos, our two school-age actual kiddos, I'm used to talking to myself here, our two school-age kiddos, that have a first grader and kindergartner, and their learning styles are very different. Like my little guy just wants an open and go, no fluff, because he just wants to get it done and be done. He really is
he's more of an outdoor free-spirited.
But if it's about animals, he'll sit there and read the whole book. But then my kindergartner is like the artsy, flowy one, so she likes doing the poetry, she likes doing the art projects and stuff.
She likes coloring.
So her curriculum takes a little bit longer, because you are using the Good and the Beautiful curriculum, and that has a lot of that in it. So perfect for her.
She likes that.
Perfect for her. She loves it, but their learning styles are different, and I love that we can cater to that. It's because if they were in the classroom, their learning styles wouldn't even be recognized or known.
It's true, because they're very different.
They are. They're very different in how they learn.
I do sometimes stay home with them and do the teaching, and Oliver's definitely, let's just get this done with until we get to like something like frogs, and then he wants to go read the whole book. like literally the whole book. Like, we don't have to read the whole book in one day. We can, it's a curriculum, but if it's about frogs,
he's good.
He'll do for as long as, you let him. Whereas Ellie, she likes to do the coloring and of the words and stuff, the word pictures. And she just likes education, I think, in general, whereas Oliver, not so much. He'll do it, but he loses attention.
And so I always allow them to get up for a little bit. Sometimes they'll jump on the trampoline in between subjects, I should say. And so that helps a lot, getting the wiggles out. And I don't know, that's a huge benefit. Whereas I know that if they went into a classroom, they would be told to like just sit still and not move for an hour or like, however long on it. So I am thankful for that option.
Sometimes the ones that don't are deemed special needs, or
just because they can't sit still. And like, it's in nobody's nature to sit still. I as an adult don't like sitting still. I move around a lot when I talk anyway. But sitting down,
a still person.
I've never been the type either that can really sit down and watch like a full movie without feeling like I wanted to get up and do something.
Well, you're like a toddler.
Pretty much. When it comes to sitting still, so I've never like been able to push my kids to do that, and I don't think they would do well in an actual classroom setting where they're forced to sit down.
When I teach them, they actually sit still a little more. So I think some of it has to do with the parent teacher style. You're more of a move around and not sit in one spot too long. So they pick up on that, and they're like that. But I do agree, though, that they can only do so much, then they need a break.
Especially kindergarten.
Especially Ellie. Maddie for sure. I think Maddie will do maybe a minute or two at a time of learning. And but she's only 2, so that's to be expected.
So that was the number one benefit of is actually catering to them and switching things up depending on their needs or their gifts, depending on what those are. The second benefit is the parental approach of the both pace and curriculum, both of which we would not have the choice of if our kids went to school. So it's up to us on how many,
everything's up to us.
Yes, like the actual pace that we
depends
go.
A little bit about what state you're in, but
yes, actually, yeah, it does greatly. Ours is a very free, like very relaxed state when it comes to homeschooling. Our only requirement is to meet 180 days, and then to have like that high school transcript.
But even if your state's not as relaxed, you still have a lot more control over your child than you would if they went to school. Because I mean, yeah, you might have to send in some more pay. It's just basically more work for you. But I think your child's still going to be just as well off.
Yes, and I like the ability to be able to go at our own pace as well. And so what that might look like... Oh.
We have a little guest down here.
So she shows up in a lot of my videos.
She's doing quite well.
Yes. But when it comes to the actual pace of homeschooling, one of my favorite things is if my kiddos are struggling in a concept or an idea, I can easily take an entire week if I need to, shut the curriculum, and work on that. They would just be falling more behind by every single day had it been in an actual classroom.
When I was public school, when I was in 3rd and 4th grade, I wasn't picking up on multiplication still. And you're supposed to know multiplication in 3rd grade, and I still hadn't known it. I still didn't know my basic multiplication facts by the time I was in 5th grade. That's when my mother pulled me out, and we just spent like 3 weeks doing multiplication facts, and the teachers had just basically written me off, saying, "Hey, you probably ain't gonna learn them." But I picked them up in 3 weeks, and I had them down pretty well. By about the end of the year, I knew my multiplication facts down pat. But it took a long time, a lot of repetitive one-on-one patience of my mother's behalf.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah, and that's like the complete joy of it is you can do that for every subject or every need. Like you have the ability to do that.
And if you don't, the consequences are you get left behind.
Yep.
Almost done, Mills.
I like the freedom that we don't have to stick to a certain grade level.
Yeah.
Because so technically my kindergartner is doing like a 1st grade level work, and then my 1st grader back when he was in kindergarten was doing like a 1st grade math book. So I like the ability of picking and choosing with whatever they're ready for. So our math books and reading books are at different levels, but it is what they're like ready for or are doing based on their skill set. So I love that freedom and doing that a lot. You see, Daddy?
Because in some ways it's good because the older ones will get reacquainted with some of the stuff they learned when they were younger, and the younger ones will get stuff earlier than they normally would. So they're ahead of things.
Yes.
So it balances out.
Yes, I agree. Our other benefit is warm family environment. I love it because our 2 older kiddos are best friends. For the most part. I mean,
they are.
Everyone has their moments, but it's ultimately at the end of the day.
I think they get along better now than they have in the last year.
Yes, they do not like being without each other. If they are without each other, they don't know what to do without each other. My 2-year-old and a 5-year-old little girl are still trying to figure out what to do with each other. Yeah. Because my 5 and 7-year-old, my 2 oldest, are best friends, and they've always kind of had each other. They've kind of grew up playing together.
The one's trying to join.
And so you have like the 3rd little one trying to join in, and they are trying to figure out a good balance of keeping their because they are just like so used to playing together. And then really just this past year, Maddie's been wanting to tag along now. And so
it's fun
it's a
to
different
watch
dynamic. It's so much fun. It really is
to watch them interact with each other and learn how to interact with each other.
Because they now have this 3rd little person that wants to join in with everything as of just really this past year. I said this year, but this year just started. Will be and then she'll be joining in soon. I keep telling Maddie, I'm like, oh, you'll have a best friend too.
Y'all be best friends.
Yes. Yeah. Lord willing.
I have 6 siblings, and we all like each other usually.
Yep. Yeah. So with the warm family environment, I do love that. And then I also, another benefit. Do you have anything else to add to that first before I jump in?
I just think it's awesome because when we were all in different grades, we didn't see each other all day, and it was a little more like, I don't know who he is as much as I used to.
Yeah.
So you don't have as much of that.
Yeah. I think I like that dynamic as well because a lot of the times I feel like the family dynamic and the actual family environment a lot of people, especially for homeschoolers, will say, well, how in the world do you socialize your kids? Or how do you, get them to like learn how to talk to adults or whatever? And my thing as well is like, I'm a very avid believer that until they learn how to respect each other in the home, they won't be able to extend that honestly, like outside of the home. So honestly, so when it comes to like socialization,
people are people. I mean,
yeah.
Your siblings are no different than a friend down the street.
Yeah.
In some ways, they're better because you have to be nice to them all the time.
Yeah.
So you can't go home and say all kinds of mean things about your friend.
Yes. I think it really teaches them how to respect each other in relationship, but also to respect each other's boundaries, which I feel like we're still kind of working on.
Yeah.
And that's something, yes. And that's something that with a stranger, it would be harder to do because you can just go home and like not worry about it, but really treasuring those in-home relationships and learning how to, show each other respect, I think is really important.
And this comes from a family of 6.
Yes, so and I had 6 siblings as well.
So if you come from a family of 1 child, then the rules are different. Yeah,
it is different.
You can still homeschool, obviously, but you're probably gonna need to involve more friends and stuff.
Another benefit is the efficiency in learning. How efficient it is to actually homeschool. Like our kiddos are not doing school for 5 to 6 hours a day like they would require if they would actually go to an actual school. They are typically done within less than 2 hours, I think, probably. Less than 2 hours. 2 hours is the most right now, but again, we're only in those kindergarten, first grade years. But to actually get our core curriculum done, it's just like an hour.
Yeah.
A little over an hour with my first grader. But
it's the same at a school. They just spend most of the day playing and eating snacks and stuff.
I feel like there's so many benefits just because of our like culture and stuff that we are trying to create.
And you can, they say school is religion free. When you homeschool, you can do what you want.
Yeah, which is a huge one.
Yeah.
Another benefit, which I know you would agree with this one because we talked about a lot, and that is really focusing on, academics, of course, because academics are very important, but the actual like life skills and stuff like that with kiddos, like teaching them how to cook, teaching them how to fold laundry, teaching them how to clean up,
but they don't do home ec when you're young, when you're little.
Yeah, teaching them responsibility. Yeah. So definitely focusing on life skills as they get older. Like I think not a requirement, but an actual class credit, a high school credit. I definitely want our oldest to kind of learn how to do basic car maintenance. Like even our daughters, like basic car maintenance, changing a tire, things like that are so invaluable, and that will save them a ton of money down the road. From personal experience, he knows how to do everything when it does come to car maintenance. So that's been a huge blessing as far as like saving the money, or like in our family, is having that life skill. Same with like your construction experience, like you know how to do all of that. Like plumbing, electrical, he knows how to do all of that. So that's been a huge blessing. Had he not known that, that's something that we would have had to hire out for like every little thing. So that's a huge thing, is like actually teaching them life skills and things like that. That's important. And then again,
how to use a knife, how to use a knife to cut food and put butter on toast. These are some things that children just don't know how to do. Nobody takes the time to teach them. And then I think the last and final benefit, we'll go ahead and end it at this before we make this video too long, and that is one of the biggest benefits to me personally as a homeschooling parent, and that is the actual personal growth, which we talked about in the beginning for me personally. And I don't mean that to say is like, oh, that's the biggest benefit. It's not, but it's a huge one, because I feel like you grow in so many different areas when you step into like that teacher role, not just in a role of like academically like learning how to actually teach a child, but in a way where it's like your patience grows, you have to figure out, how to keep the peace in your own heart, like, that's growing. You're learning almost as much as they are, because you're learning how to teach another little human with patience and love. And that can be challenging, but the challenges also grow you. They grow your understanding of how to handle yourself.
How to rely on God more. It's a good eye-opener for how much we need His grace to be able to extend that to our own kiddos. And
at the end of the day, you have to rely on Him to help you become what they need and what everybody needs.
So that's a huge one, is the actual personal growth aspect of it. And I feel like we could probably talk about the benefits of it all day. Is there anything you wanted to add before we close out?
I mean, there's just a lot of,
there is.
It's basically a lifestyle.
It is, yes. I forgot to mention that. That's like the biggest key word, is like, it's actually a whole lifestyle.
It's not like you don't homeschool your children. You're living a lifestyle of
Yeah.
including your children in all your aspects of life, and in the process they're learning everything they
Yes.
need to know to
Yeah.
be a successful adult later in life,
Yes.
and a successful middle school child, and so on.
Yep. That's a huge thing, is the biggest lifestyle. I like that. This is probably going to seem very, very like, what's it called? Not mundane.
Cliche.
Cliche. There's that word. Yeah. Of the Charlotte Mason quote where it says education is an atmosphere, it's a discipline, and it's also a life. And
Yeah.
it is all three of those, but like three of those. It is definitely a huge discipline, especially for the homeschool parent.
Yeah.
Disciplining yourself is the number one tip before you can begin having a successful homeschooling career with your kiddos, is actually disciplining yourself too as a homeschool mama. Because if you're not disciplined, whether that be getting your act together so you can actually start the teaching, things like that, it really is like an entire life. But
Yeah. Discipline.
Yeah.
You have to discipline yourself more than the children, probably.
you do. Like, I really feel like some days are like that for me as well. And it's so true, because this is off on a rabbit trail when it comes to like actual children discipline. Is I realize, and I realize this in myself particularly, is that a lot of the times my response to the kiddos has really nothing to do with what they themselves are doing. And I just listened to a book recently that opened my eyes. Like, my response to them really has little to do.
And they know
Not
that.
yes, it doesn't really have anything to do with really what they're doing, but it has to do with how I'm feeling. And I realized that in myself is like how I react to what they're doing. Most of the time, like 90% of the time, it's not even that bad, but it's how I'm feeling is how I react. So I'm putting my feelings on what they're doing, even though it is not bad. Something to work on, right? Right.
Want to say goodbye, Mills? Say goodbye.
Yep. And this one is ready for bed. Oh my goodness, are you going to be all crazy? But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'd love to have you join our family, and you can do so by subscribing down below. And don't forget, I will have Leilani's video and her channel linked down below. Be sure to go check her channel out.
Yeah.
She is a special needs mama. I love her wisdom and insight in her homeschooling journey and her family. And then definitely check out the playlist, because there's going to be a whole bunch of other people talking about their whys to homeschooling. But until our next video, I hope you guys have a great day, whatever you're doing, and God bless. Bye.
Bye, guys.